Hey YouTube, this is Jaden Storm, Counter Chief in Team Shadow Strike, and I have a deck profile update here for you guys, and it is on my Nubatama deck. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, Jaden, why would you do an updated deck profile on Nubatama? You already did one, and Nubatama really doesn't have that big of a card pool, so there really isn't a whole lot to change here, so why make another one? And that is a good question, and a valid question, so I will answer it, even though I just asked myself that, just in case I figured that's what I would think if I saw it, so here's why. If you recall not long ago, I made a video about the top 10 decks that are good budget player decks or that you can build for cheap. And it's been a while since I've talked about Nubatama. And I personally think Nubatama is a very good deck if you learn how to use it and abuse it properly. So I thought I would do an update on mine because I have changed a little bit from the original build that I showed you guys and maybe explain it a little bit better. So this is kind of like an updated deck profile / analysis. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's just jump right into it. So for the grade zeros, obviously the starter is Stealth Beast Kuroko. It's the only one we have, so obviously this is the one we got to use. Now you can use the grade 0 from a long time ago, but it does you absolutely no good to play it, so there's no point in using it. Kuroko's effect's pretty simple, is whenever an attack hits a Vanguard during a battle that this unit boosted, if you have a Nubatama Vanguard, you may pay the cost, which is Soul Blast 1, and you may choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone and put them into his or her drop zone. Now you're going to be putting cards in your opponent's bind zone quite frequently with Nubatama, either if it's by a card effect or your limit break with one of your boss monsters, Kabuki Kongo. Basically all this card does is apply pressure, because if your opponent has cards in their bind zone, you can use this and you can just start retiring units out of it to where either A, they're not going to get them back in their hand, and it might end up hitting a unit that they severely want, like a 12k attacker, a perfect guard. You might even hit that starter that they really need, like if you're playing against Beast Deities, it might hit their Riot Horn. If you're playing against Eradicators, it might hit Linchu. There's just good cards like that to hit. And I actually play 2 copies of this. And the reason I play 2 is if you are playing against something like Eradicators or Kagero, they are going to snipe this pretty quickly because they do not want to have to wonder or have to guard against an attack to save their key units. So you play 2. And if you do happen to get 2 of them on the field at the same time, that is actually extremely evil, because if you can manage to get them both out at the same time, your opponent is going to come to grasp that they're going to lose units a lot quicker. But I'd mainly play 2 just because to have one as a backup, and if you can get them both on the field at the same time, they're really good. And if you do draw that second one and you never have an empty space to play it in, or you just never get around to using him because you just don't think you have a use for him, he is still a solid 10k shield. So. And then for the trigger lineup, obviously this isn't going to change because we only have rainbow triggers. So 4 crit, 4 draw, 4 stand, 4 heal. I wish we had another draw trigger, maybe another critical trigger, but we don't. So we just have to make do with what we have right now. Hopefully Nubatama will get more support in the future. I really hope they do. I enjoy Nubatama very much. So we're just going to have to play the wait game. Grade 1s. I play 4 copies of Stealth Beast, of one of the coolest looking perfect guards in the game, because, you know, it's perfect guards. I also play 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Dreadmaster. This is the grade 1 Nubatama that came out way back in set 1. His ability is very, very good. It's whenever he is boosting an attack. It doesn't have to be boosting a Vanguard. It can be boosting a rear guard, and its attack hits. So he can be boosting a Vanguard or rear guard, and if that attack that he's boosting hits anywhere on your opponent's field, and you have less cards in your hand than them, you can counterblast 1, and they are forced to discard a card from their hand. This card applies serious pressure because in the early game you can play lots of cards from your hand to just flood your field and rush the hell out of them, and they have to either guard it or they'll take damage and lose cards. So it forces your opponent into a very tough spot in the early game. This card right here is one of the main reasons that this deck can do extremely well. If you are going to play Nubatama, guys, you must max out on this card. He is a little bit harder to find. If you are looking for copies of him, I might have some more, so if you do want to build Nubatama and you want to trade with me, I can include in a playset of Dreadmaster if I can find another one, which I'm pretty sure I can. I just have to dig quite a bit because I have quite a few boxes of commons. But this card, guys, is a must that you must max out on if you want to do very well with Nubatama in tournament play, in my opinion. For the rest of the grade 1s is 4 copies of Stealth Rogue of the Night, Sakura Fubuhuki. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's the 8K vanilla. Since we really don't have a 10K attacker grade 1 or a 12K attacker grade 2, you have to max out on the vanillas, in my opinion, now. So I am now playing up to 4. In my original build, I was playing 3. I've now gone up to 4. And the card that I cut 1 to go to a 4th is... I now only play 2 copies of Tempest Stealth Rogue Fuki. This card is when you have 3 or less cards. When your opponent has 3 or less cards in your hand, you counterblast 1, move it to the soul, and you get to bind another card out of their hand to take their hand from 3 to 2. So it makes it very, very difficult for them at that point to guard. So very, very good card. Grade 2s. We play 4 copies of Stealth Beast Tamahagane. And Tamahagane, the Wolverine Bear, basically when he's rode as the vanguard or called to the rear guard, you select one of your opponent's rear guards and you bind it. So it is a very, very, very good card, especially for the early game. So like if you have... when you ride your grade 2, this is what I like to ride because I can bind their starter and then attack and try and get my attack through to... get their starter off the board, whether it's a grade 3 searcher, something like Linchu, or maybe a Riot Horn or something like that. In my last build, I was playing 4 copies of Chikasumi, and Chikasumi is the grade 2 Nubatama from way back in the day, and my theory behind it was, since we don't have a 12k attacker, and this is an 11k attacker, maybe we can do that. And his ability is if you have more cards in your hand than your opponent, he swings for 11. So I decided to cut all 4 copies of him, and I put in 4 copies of Stealth Rogue of 1,000 Blades Aburuzaka. This is the 10k vanilla for Nubatama. I decided to go with this because it is a solid 10k body, and sometimes it is easier to ride this as your grade 2 Vanguard and sit behind a 10k body rather than a 9k to prevent rushing. And then 3 copies of Stealth Dragon Kokugio. This card's very good, as each time you bind one of your opponent's cards, he gains 2,000 power. So he is very, very, very good. You should be playing anywhere from 3 to 4 copies of him. For my grade 3s, I do not believe in playing the grade 3 Nubatama from way back, which was, I think his name was... I do not remember his name, guys, but he was a grade 3 Nubatama unit, and he had only 9,000 power. Guys, 10,000 power Vanguards right now have a very hard time staying alive in the meta, which means 9Ks have even lower percentage. Guys, that is 4,000 points lower than a cross ride, and, you know, I mean... Even if you boost that 9k with one of your 8ks, so 9 plus 8 is 17, that's not even hitting the magic number on cross rides. And cross rides are starting to become more and more popular right now, just because set 14 promoted a lot of cross rides, and set 15 is going to promote even more. So you really do not want to be playing a 9k Vanguard, guys. You want to max out on your 11ks, so you want to play the grade 3s from set 13. So 4 copies of Shura Stealth Dragon Kuji Kira Kongo. This is the Nubatama break ride, and he is very, very good. He because whenever you break ride another Nubatama on top of him, you get 3 things are going to happen. 1, your Vanguard is going to be able to gain plus 10,000 power. 2, your opponent has to discard a card from their hand. And 3, then they got to bind a card in their hand. So they're losing 2 cards out of their hand, which can really affect them in the late game when you're break riding. Because it can make it easier to land attacks. They might have to bind that card that they might need to guard later. His other ability is if your opponent has 3 or less cards in their hand, he swings for 13. So... And then for the last grade 3s, we play 3 copies of Shura Stealth Dragon Kabuki Kongo. This is the card that you want to break ride over this, if at all possible. Kabuki Kongo's skill is this. Limit Break. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may counterblast 1. If you do, bind all of your opponent's rear guards face up, and if the number of cards in your opponent's bind zone is 3 or more, this unit gets plus 10,000 power until the end of battle. So, and then his other ability is you can counterblast 1 to give him 2,000 power. So basically, you Break Ride. Your opponent's going to discard a card from their hand and then bind a card from their hand, so he's going to be at 21. Then he's going to attack. You're going to use his Limit Break, and that's going to put him at 31. So it does get him very, very, very high. And then even after the turn you Break Ride, he can still hit 21 based off his Limit Break, so long as you're binding at least 3 cards. So this deck can apply pressure, guys. If this is a deck you want to play, it just takes a little practice, because this deck has a lot of things that doesn't have a lot of things that most clans have. They don't have more starter selections. They don't have a 10k attacker grade 1. They don't have a 12k attacker grade 2. So you just got to be very, very careful how you play this deck. It is a very good deck. I think it's a solid tier 2.5 if you want to put it on a scale like that, I guess. If you want to say, okay, these decks are tier 0, these are tier 1, these are tier 2. I think this is a solid tier 2 deck at, because it can sneak up and bite a lot of people, but that's my opinion. Whether you think it's tier 1 or you don't even think it's tier 2, that's up to you. I just think Nubatama is a good deck. You can build this deck, guys, for pretty cheap. Kabuki Congo costs nothing. The Break Rides might cost you anywhere from maybe 10 bucks a piece, maybe a little less. All the grade 2s are common, except Tamahagane. He's a rare. The grade 1s, the only one that is hollow is the Perfect Guard. And even these Perfect Guards, guys, they're like 4 bucks. And then the starter, obviously, is a rare. So you can build this deck, guys. I have seen people sell Nubatama decks. You know what? Let's just, just for the hell of it, where's my phone? I'm going to go to eBay right quick, and I'm just going to type in Nubatama deck. Let's see. We're going to go to search, and we're going to go to Nubatama deck. Let's see, here's one for $100, here's one for $90, here's one for $80, here's one for $70. So guys, you can pick this deck up for almost next to nothing. I mean, normally when people are selling a deck as a whole, they're going to charge you maybe anywhere from an extra $10 to $20 because it's convenient. That it's like, okay, I'm giving you all the cards you need. The deck is done. All you have to do is just change it to how you want it, and it's ready to go. You can probably pick the cards up single off something like eBay, Amazon, Ideal 808. Those are some really good ones to buy cards off. I've told you guys about before. You can probably buy them off there cheaper, and if you can find players who have these as singles for trades, they're probably going to value them on the low side because they're really not worth that much. They're only worth more if they're all together, like this is right here as a deck. I think another card that they might be charging you like $4 a piece for this guy because he is harder to find. I don't necessarily find him. I mean, he is needed in the deck, so if I was going to sell this deck like on my channel to you guys, I would probably sell this deck for $80. I mean, I think that'd be fair, but that's just me. What fair might be fair to me, but that's also between buyer and seller, so I'm not going to get into that. But the best way is if you want to build this deck, guys, I would not recommend opening a ton of boxes of set 13 because there's some people I know, when they want to build a deck, they literally just buy slew and slews and slews of boxes until they literally buy so many boxes, they literally get the deck. It's easier for me, guys, especially when it's a lower rarity deck like this that only has one triple rare and then only 2 other double rares in the deck. It's cheaper literally to just go on Ideal 808 and buy the deck. Because you can literally order all the pieces, including the triggers. And the triggers are like a dime, and the starter is like a quarter. And then, you can get the grade 1s for like a quarter. And you can get the deck for nothing. So it's just how it is. So anyway, guys, if you ever want me to help you maybe price a deck out, maybe figure how much it's going to cost you to build a deck or something like that, I might be able to help you with that. you literally just kind of have to figure out, okay, what do I want to play? What kind of budget do I have? And things like that. If you are wanting to build something that is solid and cheap and actually a good deck, Nubatama would be one of my first suggestions, because Nubatama is a very good deck, although it doesn't have a lot of options right now. I just think it's a good solid deck. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this deck, updated deck profile / analysis. Excuse me again, in the comment section below, please leave me some feedback. Did you like this? If you have any other questions about Nubatama, maybe the deck building or card choices, even though there's not that big of a pool, I'd be more than happy to answer any and all the questions that you have, like always, guys. So just leave a comment below or a question, and I will answer it. I try to reply to every comment I have. Unless two people ask the same question, then I'll just answer it once, figuring they'll scroll through and they'll see it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I do deck profiles, trade binders, discussions, all kinds of fun things. You just need to subscribe so you can always see when I post new videos and new content. I do giveaways, contests quite frequently, so they will be up, so you can win free stuff. If you still want to be a part of my August monthly giveaway, you still have time to do that. I will be releasing the September monthly giveaway during the month of September, sometime in the first week, and I will also be announcing the winner of the August monthly giveaway. So if you want to hear about all that, just go check out my August monthly giveaway video. It's just scroll down through my videos and you'll see it. It has a picture of Leo the Lion constellation. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this. So thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, thumbs up this video for me, and I'll see you later.